Hello, everybody. Welcome to Productivity Mastery, the podcast that's bringing you some of the most inspiring, creative, and accomplished leaders from all across the globe. I'm very excited to be welcoming here a friend of mine, which I happened to meet, I believe, in Austria at 15 Seconds Conference.
Yeah.
Luca is a senior service owner at the Lego Group, one of the most innovative companies in the world at the moment. He's a two-time TEDx speaker. He's a super creative and super thoughtful gentleman, and you hear all about his story in just a minute. Luca, how are you this morning?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Stoyan, for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here. And it's a sunny day here in Billund, in the middle of Denmark. So that's a great day.
How like this is one of the three sunny days, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably four. No, but actually, lastly, there's been a super cool weather, sunny, no gray sky. So that's great. Impressive and surprising.
What is a passionate Italian person doing in Denmark? Could you maybe share with us a little bit about the story? How did you end up in Denmark?
Yeah. Yeah, it's when let's say my professional background brought me to Denmark is as a telecommunication engineer. So I study engineering in Pisa in Italy, and then I just jumped into the IT world since then. So 20 more years in the IT world. I worked as an IT consultant in the European Union that brought me to understand that IT is not everything. You need to create relationships, stakeholder management. You need to get an agreement to do stuff. So you need to be very deep dive into technology, but you need also to be a people person, right? And then after that experience, I joined Microsoft, where I was responsible to sell Windows to large enterprises. And it was a tough startup because it was Windows Vista. So you might remember Windows Vista. It was not an easy sell, to say the least, but we succeeded. And again, it was about being super technical, creating demo and knowing the register keys and sell it to the CIO and CEOs. So the two levels were there. And then when I was working for Microsoft with my family, my wife and two kids, we were living in Rome at that time. And at a certain point, we just sat down in the couch and say, do we want to do this life forever? Because Rome is a beautiful city. I mean, as a tourist, it's a fantastic city. But living there, you get also a lot of struggles and difficulties to move around, just to move around, to bring kids to school and bring kids to activity, to the gym. So we said, no, we need to do something with our life, and we decided to move abroad. And that was fun because we found other couple of families with they had two kids. They had a pet as we did, and we decided to move. 12 people, three pets to Denmark. We had a big truck. We put our houses over there, and we just moved. And the reason why we moved was not for job, but was for lifestyle, because we investigated a bit, and Denmark looked like a very good country to live in. And after 8 years, I can confirm it. It's just fantastic to live here. Everything works, is smooth, and that's just great. But no, it was not an easy move because I kept my job in Microsoft in Italy. So I was doing 2 weeks here and 2 weeks in Rome, and I did it for 9 months. And in those 9 months, I was looking for a job in Microsoft because at that time, Microsoft had also some no-location specific jobs. So I was looking for that, but it was not meant to be. And I found a job in Vestas, wind turbines, market leader in wind turbines. So completely different environment. And for the first time, I was on the customer side after being, on the selling and consultancy. And there was a business partner. So I was connecting all the business or headquarter in Denmark with Southern Europe and Latin America. So meeting all the general managers, trying to figure out what they needed and if what we were doing in IT was a good match for them. And I worked there for 4 years, traveling around those regions, so quite a lot. It was fun. It was nice. A bit of planning with the family, but it worked out very well. And then Lego Group called somehow, and I joined the Lego Group at the time as a product owner. So it was my jump into the agile journey. And then since then, I've been working agile. So it's 3 years now. I changed job title, which is now senior service owner, but it's still a sort of product owner in a service area. And it was interesting because agile was born to be more for software development, but we implemented agile on IT support, which is quite a challenge. But the journey has been for 3 years now, and now we are in a much better place compared to 3 years ago. So now it's working, it's great, it's super interesting, super exciting, and also fun.
Man, what a fascinating story. It's you just grab a couple of other families and get into a van and let's go to a different country. What should that be? Ah, let's go to Denmark. It might be fun. It's wow, what a
Yeah,
fast. Usually people move for a job or for a partner or for, adventure, but you really went all in on the adventure part.
yeah, and actually, we had a dinner at a certain point in Rome where we shared our feeling, our intention to move somewhere, and one of the family decided already to move to Denmark. So we tried to figure out why in Denmark. Then we studied a bit, of course, and then I said, okay, before moving, I need to see Denmark. I never been in Denmark, so we organized a Christmas time in Denmark. It was 2013. So we spent our Christmas in Copenhagen, actually, which is on 300 kilometers from here. So we spent the Christmas there. Everything was just fantastic. And the Christmas time in Denmark is just beautiful. Everything is decoration. And the Christmas time is actually 2 months because it starts right after Halloween. So it's 2 times of decoration or Christmas songs and so forth. And it's like, yes, I like it. Let's move. And we did it.
And just a very quick question before we get into the topic of the days. Do you still live close to each other with the other families? Do you keep in touch or
Yeah, when we moved, we spent 1 year with one of the family, and then the third family went to another place, still, uh, 80 kilometers from where we were, and then our path just diverged because then we moved to another place due to the fact that the school closed. So my kids were attending an international school, a very small place in the middle of nowhere, but it closed down. So we had to decide whether going to Aarhus, which is the second big city in Denmark, or to go to Billund because Billund at the airport, and Billund is where Lego was born. And at that time, we decided to go to Billund because there was the airport, and I was traveling to Italy every 2 weeks, so we moved to Billund, and the other family stayed there. But the fun part is that as soon as we moved to Billund, I got a job in Aarhus, which is 100 kilometers from here. So for 4 years, I commuted 3 hours a day, sit in the car, and that's the way it is.
it is interesting what life gives us and what kind of experiences and circumstances and situations we get into. And I'm curious to dig into that as well. But as I hear, Luca, your story with Lego has started a little earlier in your life, seems like, and Lego has been part of your journey in a way. So could you maybe share with us about your relationship with Lego? When did it start, and how did it evolve from there?
Yeah, of course. So as every kid, I played with Lego in my childhood. So my childhood was full of Lego bricks, and in the end, after I grew up, there were no Lego anymore, Lego bricks. And then at a certain point where we decided to move to Denmark, by chance, I spoke with one of my friend who was a coach at that time, and I was investigating, other possibility in my life. I was working for a big multinational company, and I thought what I could do if I moved to Denmark or when I moved to Denmark. And one thing he said that was like, there is a new innovative methodology that uses Lego bricks, and you can run a lot of workshop with Lego bricks. I don't know the details, but it sounds pretty cool. And I say, okay, it sounds cool. So I investigated, and after a month, I was flying to Denmark and to have the training course for becoming a Lego Serious Play certified facilitator. And since then, I can say that my life changed. I mean, I moved to Denmark, so my life definitely changed. But also my attitude to productivity, to creativity, because since then I started using Lego bricks to sparkle ideas, to get more creative, to find solutions to challenges.
Can you
So that
maybe
specific course changed me.
can you maybe for the audience, for those listeners who do not know what is Lego Serious Play, could you maybe give us an overview of what is that method and how does it work?
Yes, so I created actually a model with the Lego bricks. So if we can share my screen, it's right over here. Yeah, here it is. So Lego
And
Serious Play.
those of you who are listening on the podcast, you might want to actually go to YouTube or LinkedIn and find the video for that part specifically. But Luca will try to explain for those of you just listening, also, so you can be part of it. So Luca, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Dorian. I try to put the head of radio commentators, compared to video commentators. I try to be more verbose. So the legacy display methodology was born in the mid of 90s, and just to bring you back to that era, mid of 90s, where we didn't have all these fast network connections to the internet, but we had this modem with a 56.6Ks bit rate, and we were connected to internet. So it was a different era, a different type of entertainment. But at that time, all the video games were breaking into the market, and the Lego company was having some challenges. And one of the big challenge that the CEO at that time, Kel, had was to run strategic meetings. So he was dissatisfied by the way his leadership team were running meetings. And that's why he decided to reach out to the head of product development and two professors in Switzerland. And they came up with the Lego Serious Play methodology. And in the end, it was the product development head at the time, Robert Rasmussen, who created the Lego Serious Play methodology together with Per Christensen. So they came up with a methodology that had to solve a few challenges. So first of all, when it turned out that in a meeting, usually the 20% of people takes the 80% of time, and it can be due to several factors. For example, people looking out at the window and thinking about the weekend, or playing with the phone, or being shy to put their opinion into the table. And with the legacy display, actually 100% of people takes 100% of time. So we go from the leaning backwards to the leaning in meetings, where everyone is there, is present. They put their ideas there, and they work together, and they are committed in the end of the meeting. So that's a huge change in the way we run meeting. And the other thing is that nowadays we are flooded by information. So we have so many information that we don't even know what we know. So sometimes that information is buried into hippocampus in the middle of the brain, and we don't know that. But when we use Lego Serious Play, we unlock that information. So we are able to come up with different ideas, because the human attitude is to come up with a solution which is more comfortable for us, but we don't dig into alternative solution. And that's what we can do with the Lego Serious Play, actually. When we use those bricks, we have also, we learn also how to use metaphors. So for instance, here you can see a bunch of Lego antennas, and they are just Lego antennas. But when I built it, it reminded me actually the forest where I got lost, or we got lost with the family in Hawaii. It was a bamboo forest. So it was that thick that is exactly like this Lego antennas. So you can actually move out from Lego antennas to being lost in a forest in Hawaii. And with Lego display, you can also look at things from a different perspective. So if you move this antenna and you look from above, you can see a sort of code. It could be like 0 and 1s. So it could be a secret code. It could be a software code. So it really allows you to look at things from different perspectives. And the whole thing works with the core process. So when you want to run a workshop, you need, of course, to understand what is the need for the course. It could be a team building, it could be enterprise strategy, it could be really whatever you want. And the main challenge of the facilitator is to create a workshop. So you create a workshop, and the workshop is just an iteration of questions. So the first step is facilitator pose a question. When facilitator poses a question, everyone in the room builds. So everyone has a specific time to build a model, Lego model that responds to the question. And then you have to tell the story about the Lego model. So basically, it is what I'm doing right now, because previously I asked myself, what is Lego Serious Play for you? And then I built a model, and now I'm telling you the story about the model. And then there is the fourth step, which is where the facilitator runs it, and there are questions and reflection about the model. And everybody can ask questions, and every question is related to the model itself. So even if you are shy, you are a bit worried what you're saying, everything is related to the bricks, not to you as a person. That's also why it works really well. And the facilitator, which is Master Yoda over here, facilitates this conversation.
May the
And
fourth be
all
with you.
May the 4th we will do, Stoyan. We just forgot it in the beginning, right? Today it is 4th of May. And by the way, I have my lightsaber over here. Lego one, of course. So this methodology is backed up by science, because the vast majority of the connection from our hands go directly to the brain. It means that the more we fiddle with bricks, the more we use our hands, the more we stimulate our brain, and the more ideas they come. So that's just connected. And what we say usually when you pose a question that might be a bit challenging, we say, don't have a meeting with yourself, start building. And it sounds crazy, but it always works. Every time I say that, the participants say, wow, Luca, you were right. It really works. I didn't know what to build. I started building something and it worked. And for me, it worked for the brain here. I mean, it's clearly a brain, and while I was building, I said, okay, this looks like a brain. And actually, I presented this model to, I was in a conference a few years ago in San Diego, and I was preparing the model, and there were some kids outside, and these kids came very curious about that, and I told them, okay, guys, I will tell the story about this. And when I came to the brain here, and for you who can't see that, it's a mix of Lego bricks and soft connection, always Lego connection, and you resemble a brain, but I'm not a Lego designer, so it's not a perfect brain, of course. But these kids just got it. They say, okay, this is a brain. Wow. That's the power of the 3D representation of the Lego bricks is just huge and sticks to memory. So this is the story about Lego Serious Play. This is how it was born and why it's great to use it in an enterprise environment as well.
Fascinating, man. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing and for building this and making a representation true example. It's fascinating. Thank you so much. And I just want to remind everybody who's listening live on LinkedIn or YouTube, feel free to post your question in the comments, something to do with the Lego Serious Play, how do we solve problems, or anything you have for Luca, and we'll try to take some questions. So just a reminder about that. But Luca, I have so many questions. So let me just start with that one. And by the way, let me know if you want to stay with the bricks, or if you want to come back. It's up to you.
We can also come back and eventually share it again.
Oh, you come back. Okay, good. Let's do that. So my question would be around. You mentioned Lego bricks. Don't stay with yourself. I don't know how you said it, but do not.
Do not have a meeting with yourself.
Do not have a meeting with yourself. Have a meeting with the Lego bricks. And Is that how you solve problems? Like since you became a facilitator, honestly, how give me some ideas of is that how you do planning or problem solving yourself personally? Like how do you use that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question because it really makes sense to use Lego Serious Play in your life. That's why I said it changed my life because I'm using with myself and I'm using with the team. I used in the companies I work for. So, for instance, investors, we were running a project and we needed to do some gather user requirement about devices. And which is quite boring, you need to go to people and say, okay, which kind of device do you need, and so forth. But then we decided to use to make a workshop with a Lego Serious Play. We went to a factory, and we had all the management team in this Vestas factory for 3.5 hours, closed in a room with no mail access, nothing. Because when you're there, you need to work. If someone just goes out with a phone, the workshop is disrupted. So that's the agreement in the beginning. And you can imagine the general manager of the factory and his reports just staying there for a 3.5 hour playing with Lego bricks. So that was, amazing, and we got all the information we wanted. And this was an example of also commitment from the participants. But I'm using Lego Serious Play also in Lego Group, of course, in my team. So whenever there is a new member in my team, I create a workshop just to get to know each other. It's your first day. You meet your leadership team. You meet with me, and we have a meeting, 1 hour meeting, playing with Lego bricks. I think it's a great way to start it up. And usually, when when the other person hasn't used the Lego bricks for Lego Serious Play, you start with the skill building. So there is a full process of building skills for the participants, so they get comfortable in using Lego bricks. So we start with creating usually a tower, which is quite easy. Everybody can create a tower. And then you go on, you move to the metaphor. So they learn how to use metaphor. And then you go to the questions. So, and usually in the first meeting with the new team members is about knowing each other. So what are your passions? What energizes you, and so forth. And you have a 3D representation of that, which is just fantastic. And then I use it in a 101 with my team. So every quarter we have a 101, and I create a workshop. We just ran all the workshop last week and this week, and you have a lot of insights. Instead of sitting down in a room and talking to each other, you have Lego bricks. You play with them, and again, the visual representation sticks to memory. You really see what's going on. You really see the achievement maybe of the last month. What did you achieve in the last month? And you have a 3D Lego model of that. And we built it's a 101, so I also build it so it's a sharing information. It's a good way to share also with my team what I'm working on in a
And Luca,
3D way.
because you know me, I'm very practical, step by step kind of person, and this is fascinating. I just wanna hear. Um, what would be a one-on-one just as an idea, because I know it could be different, but what would be an agenda for a, let's say, weekly or monthly one-on-one with somebody that you're
Yeah.
managing? What could be questions or agenda items that you go through with the Lego bricks?
Yes, it could be, for instance, you start usually with a icebreaker. So there are a lot of techniques to reconnect with Lego bricks, and one could be that you build a model about something, and then you need to create, to write down 3 words of this model on a whiteboard, for instance, and then while you're there, just to tell the story about the model, you swap the 2 models, so you need to tell the story of the other model with those words, and it's pretty interesting because many things come up, and that's just an icebreaker. And then you can ask, for instance, what was your one of your achievements you're proud of last week, last month, last quarter, and then you can say describe build a model that describes the how you see the team working now, for instance, what should be improved in the team, how would you improve the thing in the team. So it's as you see, it's a sort of escalation of questions. You start from for example, how do you see the team today, how do you want the team to be in the future, and how you want to get there. And then there are different techniques. You can have individual models. You can have a shared model where you put all the relevant pieces, bricks into the model, and it's a shared story of the model. You can have a landscape where you put your model in a landscape that you create in advance, just to have to be meaningful. So, for instance, we use the landscape for a planning session for our strategy in building teams. And there was all the different timeline in the landscape. We put the model of the action we want to do, and we put all the actions over there, and it worked really, really well.
Yeah, and I can see this working extremely well. For example, as you know, I do a lot of workshops on planning, strategy, those kind of things, and the questions that we go through usually, which could be reflecting and assessing the previous period first, right? You go with what have we achieved, what did we learn, what can we do better, all those kind of things. You can include this as a kind of like an add-on that can trigger and sparkle creativity. So information that was previously not available now can come at the surface, because people sometimes could be in a logical, rational setup, could be afraid to share, or maybe not think about some details. Wow, now they have an opportunity. When they build it, they have to explain it, right? So they have an opportunity
Yeah,
to actually tap into the more creative side of them, like the kid inside, and they can be more
yeah.
playful, and when they get more playful, creativity also starts to increase. So I can clearly see the value add on of such a method.
Yes, and the more you play with the bricks, the more ideas come up to your mind, and the more no more creativity, more imagination. So you can really see different things rather than just having a workshop, a normal workshop.
Yeah, I listened to I think it was a YouTube video with one of the people who developed the method. His name was Pia Christensen, I believe,
Yes,
and he was sharing there are different ways to facilitate the process, but usually it comes down to 4 steps, and I'm not sure if that's the kind of the official way that is, but he
yes,
talked about number one is defining the question, number two is building, number three is reflecting, and number four is kind of like a group review or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, number three is the presentation, the
Is the presentation.
storytelling.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the number four is the reflection and questioning.
Talk me about the process. Lead me through the process, and why is it important to be in this way?
Yeah. So when designing a workshop, you have the goal in mind, and you need to decide which technique do you wanna use. If you wanna use an individual model, if you wanna use a shared model, if you wanna use a landscape, and so forth. And then you start with the questions. And it's super important to define the questions, to find the right words to put in the questions, because it's really a little tweaking of wording. So it's really important to define the right words. And then it's where you design the workshop. So you create the question. So that's the most important part of the workshop. And then what you always say in the facilitator community, trust the process. And this is the process. So once you have defined the workshop, trust the process. Ask a question, build, storytelling, reflection. And then you go to the next question, because it really works. It really works, and participants get really used to it. Sometimes you see participants who are not really Lego designers. So, for instance, I had in 2020 during pandemic. Pandemic was big crisis. We had to go to Italy earlier than expected, and we had to spend 6 weeks in Italy. 6 weeks in Italy, working for 3 weeks and being on vacation in the planned 3 weeks. So we didn't know what to do, because in our house in this seaside location in Sabaudia, close to Rome, we didn't have any internet, and obviously they need to work with internet. So where do we go? And nothing was available. It was a big mess. So my father-in-law said, "Okay, well, you don't know where to go. You go to the church and ask." Okay, so he went to the church and asked the priest, and the priest said, "Okay, No problem. We have internet. You come. Very open, very innovative. So we worked from the church basically, with all the scents in the background. We had a stand-up meeting in the morning with the scents and everything, with the bells ringing. That was fantastic. But then we had also a lot of coffee breaks with the priest, and it was really innovative. He said, "Look, I have this religious teachers, that tell to the kids that the snake spoke to Adam and Eve. How can believe in 2020 that a snake can talk to these guys? We need to find a way." And I said, "Okay, well, I have a way. It's called Lego Serious Play." So I spent my other 2 weeks reading again the Bible, to define the workshop, because you need to be knowledgeable over the subject. So I studied the Bible at the beginning, and it was super fun. I created a workshop, and then we ran the workshop. So we went to the venue. It was a beautiful terrace in the evening, summer evening, and the participants were very diverse. So we had like a 18-year-old guy and 75-year-old woman who never played with Lego bricks. So they were a bit skeptics in the beginning. Oh, what's going on here with Lego bricks? What is it? But then they start building, and it was amazing to see the models that they built. Everything went super smooth. And no, from that moment on, all the yellow bricks, I don't have any yellow bricks here, but if you think about the yellow transparent bricks, for me, is light, is God, because that was the representation of God and light in the worship. So they really got the metaphor. They really got the way of the worship was built. And then after a few months, I got a message from the priest and say, "Look, they're using Lego bricks with the kids as well." So they started to using the storytelling with Lego bricks, and that's fantastic. It's just about getting used to it, about being creative and imaginative, and you can tell stories about everything. I mean, it's from team building to enterprise strategy to church, religious topic, schools. It could be whatever, really whatever.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Another fantastic story, man. Thank you so much for sharing. And I mean, it just you get creative, and I guess part of the thing comes from it's very visual, right? It's right in front of you, but then it's the other part about. I listened to another podcast about Lego Serious Play where the gentleman was talking about the head-hand connection. uh, so like when we start playing, when touching things and moving them around, somehow this movement and there's magic in this. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yes, yes. So the very famous saying, "Don't have a meeting with yourself." It's about those connections. So really, when you don't know what to build, you need to start building. And I did it myself with this model that I just presented. I did it myself with the a model I created to describe my service, because every month I meet IT. I meet all the new hires in the Lego Group. So here in Billund, we are every beginning of the month, and as a service owner for IT support, I meet all of them, and I tell them how it works, how to connect with us, and so forth. But I created also a Lego model to describe the service I'm running. And then I didn't know where to start from, and I just start building. And then I realized this Lego model, and I'm using it now. It's almost a couple of years, and every time I upgrade it with something. But it's really good because it gave me the opportunity to visualize what I do. Sometimes it's difficult when people ask you, what's your job? What do you do? It's difficult to explain, and I created this model. So I was in Italy, and I brought my model there because I had to run the session from Italy. And my niece, she was 10. She asked me, "Uncle, what is it?" And I told her the story about that. This is my job. Do you want to know? Yeah. And I tell the story about the service I'm running. And then the day after, I told her, "Can you tell your mom what I'm doing in the Lego group?" And she told it. She remembered every single brick, the meaning of the brick, what was it, and so forth. So it was really wow. It can really stick to memory. And it was, IT support told by a 10-year-old girl, and my sister understood what was my job, and it was just wow, it works. So it was for me to be creative, to think about, to visualize things that could be also conceptual, and then it works because the receiver really understand it and probably will remember it for a long time.
Uh, Absolutely, man. I can see how the connections get made, right? And we talk a lot about the using Lego bricks in a way to solve a problem, right? Like whether it's a problem of what should I focus on, or I have some challenge at work, or we want to come up with the solutions with the team around something. But I'm wondering if we can get out of it for a second and think about, do you guys, and I'm sure you do, but I'm just curious, do you do you use bricks also for some sort of a, just creativity spark, like with no reason, right? You don't have to come up with a solution on this question, but do you just, I need to have a creative break and I just play with the bricks, or I'm a little bit stressed, and for stress management I need to, like, give me some other uses of the Lego bricks.
Yeah, yeah. So there are a few uses. So one is in all our offices that are full of Lego models. So whatever are Lego models, and those models are built by us. So when you have some time, you can just pick up a box and open it up and start building. And sometimes you build as a team activity. Sometimes you build as a challenge. Sometimes you build because you want just the stress going out. You want to sit down and just having relaxed time, because it's super important that when you work you're really focused. And in Denmark there is a very tight schedule. We have a very good working hours, because we work from 8 to 4 every day, and Fridays 8 to 3, which is very different from Italy. I mean, Italy is just longer times, but what we do is everything is a bit condensed. So you do a lot of things, and you need to be always sharp and focused. And sometimes you need just a break, just to go there and playing. And we truly believe in learning through play. So it's a big mantra in the Lego group and the Lego Foundation. So we really believe that. We really believe that kids learn through play. So play basically is their superpower. And why it's only kids, it's also for adults, right? So we can really play to learn things. Also, when you build something, when I build this lightsaber, I thought, wow, my colleagues are just genius. How can you do something like that with Lego bricks? Or when I build the 007 machine car with all the tricks and weapons coming out and ejection of the seats, wow, it's pure engineering. And you start thinking, okay, I can do things with this. I can, and imagination goes and creativity goes, and then you sit down in front of your computer and you are energized and you want to do more. So it really works. And what we do in our company is that once a year we have a play day. So once a year, all the offices just stop doing things factory. All the factories in the world stop, and we play. That day we play, and that's it. So it's about playing, it's about connecting with colleagues, it's about learning through play. There are some games that are prepared. There's a team specifically working on this play day, so it's super amazing. They invent always a lot of things, and we play. We spend one day playing. And this year actually it will be the same day where we celebrate the 90th anniversary of the company, because it was founded in 1932. So now it's 90 years of running the company, still a family-owned company. So we will have a play day and a party. But play day is really super, super important for all of us, from in the full chain up to the CEO and the family owner.
And I think that's something that many leaders listening to the podcast might get inspired by. Obviously, there's many different ways you can incorporate such a mindset in the company, but incorporating play and fun. And maybe I can share a couple of examples actually from the podcast. There was a lady who's a co-founder of a company from Lithuania called Mela Light, her name is Ilma Nausedaite. They just recently did an exit of the company. Congratulations! But you can find the podcast, and one of the things that they incorporated in their culture was having so-called creativity days, and that means that every employee can take a day, not a day off, but a day that they have to do something fun, playful, creative, go to a attraction park, or like go to Legoland, or go to a museum and do something fun with their kids, whatever. But they have to post pictures so they can inspire the rest of the people, right? So there's a day every quarter they can take a creative day. And I love you guys are having a play day as well. And one thing that when you talk about it came to mind was from another podcast guest and another speaker at 15 seconds, Gale Tario, and and really stuck with me because she said, find one thing every day that you do that you don't have an outcome about. There's no failure. Like, playing with the Lego bricks. You don't have to finish
Yeah.
anything. You play as much as you want and you leave it. And it's just so liberating because usually during your day you have all these to do tasks and get it done, which is important, right?
Yeah.
But you also need to have space for, I don't know where it's gonna go. I'm just gonna play around, and this is recharging your creative juices in a way. So
Yes, and we do it actually in our offsites. So every now and then during the year we have offsites, and we try to mix business and fun. So the last one we did was we designed the offsite in order to have a little TEDx talk like from one of us telling a story about, it could be their life, their personal life, and it went really well. And then the second part was a big surprise for them because they didn't know anything about the team, about to the team members. And what we had to do was to create a real movie. So we had like 3 hours to script it and to shoot it, and it could be shot in whatever way. It could be with real characters. It could be stop motions with Lego bricks. We bought a bunch of Lego bricks, and every team, we were 4 or 5 teams, create a different one. And the one with stop motion were really amazing because you could really see creativity at highest level. We were not designers. We are just IT support. So we work with technology, but we did amazing videos. So it's just creativity,
and
and
that's
it
the thing.
works.
It's not about creating a highest quality Hollywood production quality, right?
No,
It might be rough, it might be bumpy kind of, but the ideas matter. The coming together
yes,
and being creative together, and aligning around it, and then sharing with the rest of the people, and then you understand what people care about.
yeah, that's completely true, and
So
that's fantastic.
that is part of the whole thing. And since this podcast is about productivity, look, I want to ask you, and then we can dig into your personal productivity habits. But when it comes to time management, and let's say your personal time management, how can we use Lego bricks to, and do you use it to plan your month, your week, your day-to-day tasks?
Yeah, so for planning my day, single day, it's not really the case. I can use it, in our agile environment. We work agile, and they can be used in retrospective. When you think back, okay, your time in the sprint, we spent 3 weeks in the sprint. What went wrong? What we can improve, and that's what we use the Lego bricks for. So that's for that part. For me, when it comes to my time management, I have my routine, which is I really rely on Outlook. For me, Outlook is everything. If it is not in Outlook, I don't have the appointment. So what I usually do, I try to put all the appointments in Outlook, and for every meeting, I schedule a preparation meeting. So it could be 2 weeks before the meeting or 1 week, but I plan all of them because otherwise my calendar gets just stuck with a lot of things and fill it up with everything. So that's the way I try to manage my time, and obviously sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's I think it's super crucial to do that. And then when I had to do something again, I use the bricks to not to actually plan for it, but to find the solution to it. So whenever I'm stuck with something, I use I also now I have my Lego bricks in my hand. I can play with them forever. So whenever I have something, I play with them, and I don't know. I created this the holder for the AirPod, and you are here, you are bricks, you do things.
Do you do any sessions together with like with your wife, and like you're planning a vacation and it's like you come together to play with the bricks, or
We did actually with our kids because when especially when they were younger, back to school. Okay, how did it go? Well, okay, but more words. Well, okay. So we did a Lego Series Play workshop, and it was interesting because in that way some more information came up.
got
that,
it, got it.
that worked.
So so how do you like since you started talking about then management, I'm curious now from a more broader perspective. Are you more of a person that loves to set goals and this goal I'm going to achieve these things and this is my focus and priorities? And do you have any specific method that you do it with, or are you more of an intuitive person that is going with the flow?
Yeah, I think I'm in the middle because obviously, in as I'm running a service, I define the strategy, I define the goal quarter by quarter. So we have goals, but then I follow the flow to get there. So that's what I do, and what I try to do, because there are so many different things I'm involved in, and sometimes I have 5 meetings of half an hour in a row. So and you jump from one topic to the other one. So how can you keep track of all the things? So my way of doing that is using OneNote. So I'm a big fan of OneNote, and it could be whatever, but I use OneNote. And what it turned out was, okay, everything is on OneNote, but how can I track the to-do list? Because then, every meeting has an action or might have an action for me. How can I track that? And I tried many, many ways. I tried OneNote, I tried reminders, I tried whatever, and it didn't work. So I came back to paper. So whenever I finish a meeting, if it is an action for me, I note it down in my notebook, physical one. And the advantage of that is that I bring always with me. And then when I do that task, it's so satisfying to strike it out. Okay, done. It's physical. You can really see that you have done that, you achieved that, and then you go on. And it's I think it's now it's sometime I'm using the mix of technology and physical, and I think it really works because again, it's visual. When you note down with your hands, a task is there, and then when you strike it out, you know that you achieved something. And all these to-do lists go into the flow towards the objective that we create in the team.
And just for the audience to get a context, are you considering yourself more of a logical, rational person, or more of a creative one?
That's a good question. So as an engineer, you might think I'm just rational, but I think again I'm in the middle. I'm super rational when it comes to things, when it comes to problem solving. Sometimes I go into solution mode even if I shouldn't. But then I like also to be creative. And when I use Lego bricks, I feel very creative. So when I build these models like the Lego Series Play one that we just went through, or my service Lego model, it's just creative. I like it. And whenever I run a one-on-one with my team and I create all these little models, I feel creative. I feel that, wow, I can visualize something that was in my mind. And sometimes it's difficult. And the point is that it's not just visualizing, it's also storytelling. So Lego Bricks helps you to tell the story about what you had in mind. That's also the big advantage of using it.
And what would you recommend people out there who would say, "Well, I'm not a creative type"?
It's not true. Everyone can be creative. Everyone has a creativity inside. You just need to bring it out, and that's where bricks help.
So did you? And of course, we talk a lot about Lego and Lego bricks, but did you? How did you get to know who you are and how you operate? Because each of us is a little bit different, right? Some people prefer very tight to-do lists and calendars and to be really structured, and really works for them to be effective, productive, creative. other people operate differently. How did you find who you are? Did you read any books, followed some courses, or like how did you find who you are and operate in your most effective manner?
Yeah, I think it's, let's say that it has been like agile. So experimenting and try things out, and also, reading books, because as you really, I really like to do public speaking. So I read a lot of books about public speaking, about preparation of those all those speeches, and it taught me a lot of things about how to prepare, how to get ready to do something, how to overcome your fears, and so forth. So it was a journey. It's a mix of reading and experimenting. So
Okay,
now
so
I can say
experience.
that yes, and it's experience. In the end, it's a lot of about I've been in a in a work, in a professional life for more than 20 years, having some white hair, so some experience there.
No, but I love that you're saying that because there's I work with many people, sometimes young leaders, right? And they will say, I don't know what I want to do. What if I don't choose the right one? And it's like, have you tried doing this? No. Okay. Maybe you want to try it. Okay. Maybe you want to try different things. Maybe you want to get into the trenches and just get your hands dirty and through experience, then you reflect, see if that's
And
something for you, and then you move on and then get better with the agile kind of mentality, right?
yes, and that's exactly, I think the Lego group is really good at it, because we are really pushed also by our leaders to experiment. Experiment. You try it out. If it doesn't work, it didn't work, but you tried out, and then you learn something, right? And you go on. So this learning path, it's super important. No one, you need to be brave. That's also one of our values. Be brave, try things out, be curious, be focused. So you need to try things, to be focused when you try things. Be brave to just come up with crazy idea and try it out. Why not? And the good thing is that the whole chain in the Lego group is very in that way. So it really works. And working agile also allows you to do. If you do a mistake, it's a little one. It's not a 2-year project, right? So it works.
Yeah, and it sounds really really great. However, there's Luca, you know that there's many organizations that do not have this culture. So we can say be brave and experiment, and perhaps that's a focus and a priority for Lego. Kudos for that. But there's many organizations where employees are afraid to innovate and be brave and to try things out because they're afraid that, well, if I fail, Michael failed, and it wasn't really nice. so 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 I think and hopefully we can actually inspire with this type of podcast more leaders to think in that direction of creating cultures where learning, experimentation, taking bold risks at some points, of course very well prepared, but still bold.
Yeah.
um,
No, exactly. But that's also the key word, because you need, when you experiment, you need to be prepared. You need to be also challenged by your colleagues, and that's what we do a lot. We challenge each other. So if someone comes with an idea, we challenge the idea, um, and then we find a way to improve it on the making. So it's really cool.
And since we're talking about the culture now and the whole kind of league organization, it's a massive organization. I don't know if people realize, but I believe it's number one world's leader in this industry, if I'm not confused. So it's a large organization, and what large organization usually struggle with is how do we create structure, automation, but still not lose the human touch and the creativity and those kind of things. And so maybe look at somebody who's working inside the organization. What can leaders of other organizations learn from the way Lego is doing things internally?
Yeah, I think it's everything is ties into our mission, our vision. Everything is there because our mission is to inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. So, and builders of tomorrow are kids, but also adults. We love build things. We love being creative with that, and the other thing is the vision, which is the global force for learning through play. So, learning through play is really the big mantra. So when you really put this into a big company like the one like we are, it's just great.
Yeah, the way how it's being done, it can be so much different depending on the department, the type of job you have. But if everybody believes in the mission, if everybody believes in the mantra, then it's a good prerequisite for a great creative culture.
Yeah, and of course there are also processes in the Lego group, because obviously we are processes. There are a lot of things, but still there is a lot of fun as well, which is one of our values, by the way. So fun is there together with imagination, creativity, caring, learning, and quality. So it's there. We need to have fun because it's the way we get better.
Absolutely, man. And I love that you're talking about the fact that fun and productivity, they come together. Sometimes people say, let's give a day off for a playful day, but this is not going to be productive, right? It's just for no, they come together. The more playful and fun we create our workspaces and our lives, obviously, the more likely we will be excited and engaged to also get things done.
Yep, exactly.
Fantastic, Luca. The time is running, and we're playing here, talking about different things. But just wanted to wrap up maybe with what does productivity mean to you? What, like, if you have a productive day, it's like I had a really productive day. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, productive day is a day that at the end of which you are satisfied and happy. And sometimes, there are those days that you work 8 hours and then you look back and say, what have I done in 8 hours? Maybe you've done meeting where, we didn't get reach anything. But then there are those days that you finish and you are super energized because you achieved some goals. You maybe strengthened a relationship with someone, and you brought something to the next level. That's for me a great day.
Right, and I love that you're also adding the human touch. Like, you strengthen a relationship could be actually something really productive. It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
something super tangible. Sometimes the three conversations you had with people that you manage, but you made them feel better. It didn't really get something out of your to-do list, right? But these meaningful conversations, relationship can actually make your day a lot more productive. Or I took a half a day off. I recharged. I went for a walk with the dog. Whatever. Like, this could be the most productive thing sometimes.
Sometimes it is. I agree. Sometimes you go for a run, 30 minutes, you come back and wow, now I saw this issue. And here we go.
Love it, man. Look, final words to the audience. Where could people get in touch with you, learn about the Lego Serious Play, and obviously, after this kind of practical details, what would be your final message to the audience of Productivity Mastery?
Yeah, I think start seeing Lego bricks in an enterprise environment, start using them, get in touch with the Lego Serious Play methodology. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can go to seriousplay.training. That's a website where you can find some information about that. And if you need more, just reach out to me. But it's important to keep having fun, be creative, and use the Lego bricks because they work.
There you go, guys. You got it. Use the Lego bricks. There is a special Lego bricks, as Luca mentioned, the Lego Serious Play kit, which he's been using, I can imagine, to build his own what do you call it, a structure. Um,
Yeah,
so
model.
model. And if you enjoyed this episode, guys, make sure to share it with a friend. This is episode 106, meaning there's 105 more episodes. Inspiring, exciting people like Lucas sharing strategies and tools. How can we be more productive and have a more meaningful day? So I hope you enjoyed that one, and see you once again next week at Productivity Mastery.
Thank you all. Thank you, Stoyan.